決闘は意志の戦いであり、剣は決闘者の心だ。心がひるんでいると、いくら剣を振る風の神よ、我らをお触り禁止。やっ
難攻不落。
召喚化粧。
いざ剣女盤石。難攻不落。
お触り禁止。部外者禁止。剣に誓う。
無知にやが
権限
かかれ。どの目が出るかね。ほっせい。ふっとはっやっ。
却下
さゆるかさい。
捕まえた。糸よ。工作せよ。
いやはっはっやっとさ落ちる貫こ
この件はわかるかい？
そうや
急がなく。
よっひゅっ権限見切りました。
痛がっちゃいやん。どの目が出るかしら。せいたふんやっほっふふふよっ。争点。
星と深淵を無事今日の依頼を星と深淵を目指せ。この同点も 点について
却
炎の盾助出し
雨描きがたし歌よ錦となれ。
終わりね天使。
ささとせいささ月のように永遠な貫こう。
それ
捕まえた。
Oh, I see. I was thinking I was picking. Thought I had to press XX twice. It's X and then circle to summon. Whoop.
逃がすか。
Hey, well, how's it going? Hey, cool, got it.
ここで
Hey, well, how's it going? Hey, cool, got it.
ここで
Hey, cool, got it. Catching up on this event as well. And then any... Oh, I already caught up. Oh, okay. Okay, well, I guess it just started. Still, this is interesting so far. It's definitely a little... I mean, it's obviously much easier than... It's much easier than the previous ones. Although I was doing the offensive one, so maybe the defensive one will be like what it was before. Because then... Oh, okay. So, yeah. So this is a lot more similar to how it was before. Although it seems like what they have changed it up a little bit in that they have like type weaknesses. Before, the previous Theater Mechanicus were just like, oh, okay, you just need to do reactions. It was all about reactions. It was all about and the machines. Then the Mechana, the machines you were using did most of your damage, and then you just have to like choose the right machines to do the right elemental effects. And you did have to pay attention to your enemies. Like, so obviously, like I have an enemy where it's the Electro Slime. So obviously, like I wouldn't want to bring in actually 2 Electro enemies. So I wouldn't want to bring in the Thunder Mechanica in previous releases. But this seems to be like kind of all over the place, where they're like, nah. They have elemental types, which will play into things. But then they also added, oh, by the way, these are team mobs, AoE mobs, single target, stuff like that. So it's interesting. Let's see how it actually shakes out. Okay, let's see how this goes. Not sure how the defensive will work. Oh shit, it just absolutely butt-fucked my guys. Jesus Christ. Just put that there, kind of in between both. Shit, this kind of sucks. I guess I'll plant these guys here, because it's not really like... Actually, I guess I really shouldn't even plant them too far out of the way. That's kind of annoying. Is that, like, you're not even encouraged to, like... Because you think, oh, okay, I'll place it here, right in front of my guys, but if I do that, they'll go too far forward. Outside the range of these guys, my thingies. And my thingies don't even, like, go that far. Like, they don't have a... It's not like these pillars... It's not like look, it only just started just as they got into range. Like, there's like no point in having them there. I don't know, that's kind of... Yeah, I mean, it's like... It just seems like it's best to put all your allies in the direct center. I mean, I guess you're supposed to like keep these things safe. So the fact that I'm having to put them so far behind, they're usually reacting late. So like my thingy's already almost destroyed, which obviously is not good. But it's also kind of like, well, what the fuck else am I supposed to do? Like the range of everything is just shit. Oh, they actually do go back. Okay. Well. There we go. I'll set that there, I guess. So what do I need to do? 75%. 75% is pretty pretty lax requirement. I don't know though. I find that a little annoying. Like, I like that we had, like, in the previous ones where you had different tracks, right? Like, oh, okay, it was all about putting mechanici. You only had so many you could put. You had to put them and essentially lay them as traps along the way. But here, it's like you can't place the allied units outside of the circle, which I find really annoying. Like, you can't play them outside of the circle. So, but if you place them at the outside of the circle, they'll go outside of that circle to attack once the enemies get into range, but you don't have any support. Like, you don't have any support from any of your shit. Like, because all of your, like, fireball mechanici can only be placed in that center circle, and the range of them is really bad. Like, I had to put them on the outer edge, and even then, like, essentially, the range of them was essentially the same as the enemies, or as your allies, I mean. So if you place them on the outer edge, they'll have about the same range as your monsters. But the problem with that is that the monsters will go out and attack with. I guess that's what I should do. Is I should just. Oh fuck yeah! I forgot I had that too. Oops. Forgot I had an ability. Okay, let's try it again now that I know what the fuck I'm doing. I'll put this here. You here. What is this? I don't know what that is. Oh yeah, here we go. What is this? Oh, it's a mine! Oh! Fuck! Then I shouldn't have placed that there. God damn it. Oh, I see the range of these things are pretty good. Okay. So, you. Let's place you here. What was that again? This is a shackling mine. Okay. And again, it's like so dumb because it's like. Oh, that's an ally. Whoops. Okay, I kind of wish I could remove this thing. I didn't realize it was a mine, but yeah, like the fact that you can't even place these out on the road is annoying. Like, that's just dumb. Does Blade just say burning the entire time? Oh, I see. I can make them appear faster. Oops. Oh, that was the last thingy. Oh, okay, cool. I was worried. I forgot that was the third wave. Okay, cool. Nice. That was. I'd say I don't like it as much because of how restrictive it is in our placement. We have to be in the center. I dislike, cause like that was one of the big things too in the old Theater Mechanicus was the old Theater Mechanicus was something simple like, oh hey, for your thing, what you got to do is like one of my plans would be like put put constructs near the beginning part, right? Now this is also a world where the enemies never attack construct. It was always them barreling for the exit. So you could have them wherever you wanted. But it was also good because it like allowed you, it gave freeze more utility because it's like cool if you had a water and a cryo one early on, you could freeze them, and then if you had a fire one behind it, well, not only would water do damage and cryo do damage if they're not immune to it, but it also freeze them, giving the cryo and hydro more time to wail on them. And then the electro one had a pretty good range too, so you could have like, you could start with the water, then the cryo, and then an electro behind it, and it would essentially freeze them, and then electro would be zapping them all the way, or a fire one behind the two of them and having them melt. Sure, it might melt them, but then you could refreeze them shortly afterwards. And so that was a pretty solid opener. And maybe you don't put them like, depending on where the splits are, you might put them relatively close to where the split is. But sometimes, like, yeah, if you had enough, if you've built up enough Theater Mechanica power, and you've already defended the cross where both lanes meet, and you put like a bunch of fire ones in the center, and then have a bunch of water and ice leading into it, you're freezing them, and then have a shitload of fire that can hit both lanes, and then you can start building further down the lanes, closer to where the enemies are coming in. So I thought that was pretty cool, right? And it gave you more options too. Like the fact that they have shackling mines and mine mines are dumb. Like it's really stupid because they just don't give you enough space to work with. Like the shackling mines and the actual mines, you should be able to place wherever, or they should at least allow you to extend them further into the lane than just the middle circle. Like it wouldn't be a huge issue if you only had to defend like one center pillar, but the problem is you have these two defense nodes, and the defense nodes are really close to the lanes. So like obviously the idea is, oh okay, well if enemies are going to come and attack these nodes, then that's where you put the mine. You put the mine in between the lane and that node, but there's not much actual space there. Like you have a space for one mine, and that's it. And you're not getting that many, so it's fine to a degree. But like the problem is you don't have much space, and the fact that all your shit has these like weird ranges. Like the Minotaur has a much higher range than other stuff, so if that gets a little weird because I'd rather everything have the same range, so I could just do whatever, right? I'd be like, okay, if they have all the same range, then I know if I put my Minotaur here, I don't have to worry about. I know exactly where to place my ranged enemies. I put them behind them. But the problem is your ranged enemies have even less range than the Minotaur, which is dumb, obviously. So yeah, like I don't like the fact that they have varied ranges. Like they should have all the same range, or at the very least, you would think that the ranged units would have the highest range, so that no matter where you put them, as long as you put the melee units in front, you will never have them hit each other, right? Like that's what I would think. I would think that, yeah, like if I'm going to place my melee here, and my ranged here, that my melee should be, or my range should be picking up the things from further away, and not have to move, right? Like, that's the kind of weird thing, is it seems like the way ranged work is the range they display means they're not going to move at all, or they're going to move like maybe 5 feet at most, and so the range they're displaying is the range they have after moving 5 feet. Like, so once they move 5 feet, what's the max range they can hit? And then that's the circle around them. Whereas melee, because they hit everything at melee range, not surprisingly, their range seems really crazy because they're moving to that range and then and hitting them. So like that's what gets super confusing about that. Like I really wish the ranged units had a longer range without moving at all. I'd rather, I mean maybe a little movement, like that 5 feet is fine, but like I want them, I essentially want that my melee, whatever range my melee has, if I place the range units behind them, if the melee unit runs out to max range, I want the range units to also be able to hit. Like, that's what I want. I think that would be ideal. Because the problem is the way it currently is, it doesn't work, right? Melee units will run out by themselves with no cover, get murdered by the swarms of enemies, and then the swarms of enemies will get... Because like sometimes they'll also be like flying units, which the melee can't hit, and so they'll be murdered. And then all the enemies now, after ganging up on the melee and killing it, will now go after your base, and you're a much weaker enemies that needed the melee to be essentially tanking it. So like that is kind of annoying. Like they should either lower the. I mean, realistically, melee going that far out is kind of weird, right? Like melee have the longest range. Like they'll go. They almost go like halfway down the lane. If you place them at the edge, they'll go like halfway down the lane to get an enemy. Whereas like even if you place range units on the edge, they'll only have a range of like a quarter of the lane. So it's just like it's not even close. So I think that's dumb. I mean I do kind of understand what they're doing, right? Like they want range to move. Although once range finish moving, they'll go back to their spot, but they want range to move slightly to accommodate things, but they don't want them to go too far. And I do understand like why they don't want them just to be like turrets, essentially, just to stay in place and never move. I do get that. Like I understand that what they're probably doing is, let's see. Oh, cool. What they realistically probably want to do is because like the turrets, the Mechanicai, the theater Mechanicai, those things are the range, right? Like those things are, those things are the turrets. Those things are the things that never move whatsoever, and everything else works around them. So like I do get that. It's not like I don't understand that. But similarly, it's just kind of like, oh, crit rate's going. Oh, that's cool. This is a crit rate sender. Oh, I see. She has absolute dog. Actually, oh yeah. You say that's not dog shit, but oh, it's just offset. No wonder. Let's see. If I'm gonna farm, I'm going to. Actually, I could farm that set. How many do I have? 4. So I do get it. They're like, yeah, we don't want melee just to be turrets because that's what the Mechanicai are for. The Mechanicai are the turrets. So let's not have two things that are functionally the same thing. So I do get that to some degree. But it's just like the range should have a higher range, or the melee should have a lower range. Like, I think, because essentially the way it should work is that when placing units to prepare for the incoming shit, it should always be melee in front, ranged behind, and then flying like right next to it. Flying are essentially ranged too. And they should all essentially have the exact same range, right? So the second melee is running out to get something, the ranged units should also be kind of like inching forward or already started to attack the things that the melee is going towards. That's what I think should happen. Now, let's see, what was this again? Let's have my early Chino team again. Let's give it a shot. That's what I think should happen. Now, obviously, they don't have to do it. I mean, and at this point, the game's already made, so it's like it's not like they're going to change anything. Yeah, this is so fucking stupid. Hey, you know what we're going to do? Let's make these enemies that the very first sign of trouble, what they're going to do is going to immediately charge you. Yeah. Oh, and let's also make enemies that one of their first things to do is to slowly back away. Because you know what people love? You know what melee fighters love? They absolutely love it when enemies are programmed to run. Because, like, that's the fun part. Like, who wants an enemy that stays within range? Who wants a melee enemy that actually stays within range? Like, no. No, no. What people want are melee enemies that slowly inch away from each other. That's where the fun is. You know? Not melee enemies that actually stay within melee range. No, 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 no. That's boring. No, no. We want enemies that, even when they're all grouped together and you're attacking them in the middle, that they all slowly spread out from one another. That's where the fun is. Chasing after fucking enemies is where the fun is. Like, this domain was designed by a moron. Like, all aspects of this are stupid, right? Like, the first two enemies, whose literal first instinct is to charge at you and through you. So if you run towards them, they'll still run away. So what you have to do is stay at range so that they hopefully charge both towards you. Because if you don't, then you have to chase after them. Because in that first time, I ran towards them, and what happened is they both ran away. They both like cross-sectioned through me, right? Which, of course, is fucking stupid. And then these guys. Now, these guys are a little better to some degree, but they are kind of shit stupid. They are kind of dumb, too. Because look at that. They're slowly inching back. It's like, duh, why? And I mean, it's like, it's slightly okay for these guys. A little bit. Simply because once you pop their shields, they will sink down to the ground, right? So having such a huge weakness kind of makes up for the fact that when they have their shield, they will do stupid things like that. And to be fair, they are much better than the samurai. Because while those guys are slowly inching backwards, which is annoying, and the samurai also do that, they don't have these stupid, completely fucking dumb leap backwards that the samurai do. Where you'll be like in melee range, and then boom, they're like 500 feet away from you because they lunged backwards like complete fucking morons. So once the shield's gone, though, like then, so essentially, if you do what I just did, and you pop their shield before they can like react at all, and now they're all grouped up, you can instantly kill them. So there are ways around it, and so that's why them slowly backing away, while annoying, it really just kind of sucks if your DPS sucks. If you're able to push them hard or break their shield super quick, they all start in a very close location. Oh, I see Sam's from the same. Oh wow, that's actually. After combat. I mean, I guess if this was for an HP scaling one, but I think this is obviously for Sethos, and I don't think Sethos doesn't scale off of that. So it's like, yeah, while annoying, obviously, and it is super annoying, I guess, regardless. Don't get me wrong, it's not annoying.
決闘せよ走行のオン よっ粉々よそれよっ
Yeah, there are ways to work around it. But the problem is, it's like, yeah, like, essentially, this is unlike every other boss, like, ever. Every other domain ever. Where it's like, oh, okay, what's the first thing to do? Well, run up and get close to enemies or do these things. Now, sure, it's cool that it gives you some time to react. But, like, the problem with the stone shields is that you can't... I mean, and that's the reason why they recommend Electro... Defense percent fucking useless. Jesus Christ, these are all dog shit. Electro and fire is because when you do overloaded, you'll burst shields, you'll explode shields, essentially. And so that's why it's recommended. But it is fucking annoying, where it's like, oh, okay, what's the meta? Well, once you start the thing, run the fuck away, because these two things will be charging, and if you get close to them, they'll more often than not do that. Something stupid and fucking annoying, and then run out of your fucking range. They'll charge through you, and at angles, so to fucking waste your time chasing after them, or you can't fucking group them anymore. Like, fucking annoying. Stop it. So, yeah, whoever designed this domain was a fucking moron who needs to be shot, because they clearly don't fucking play the game. Or they thought they were intentionally being an asshole. Because it's like... Because essentially what this domain does is it punishes you for going forward, right? Like, it's an action combat game where it's like, oh, okay, cool, like, it's time to attack. I'm gonna run in and get close, right? But it's like, nope, if you do that, you're gonna get fucked. Because you're gonna run in close and you can't, I mean, maybe you can, maybe you have a nuke that you can do real quick and kill them in one hit. But pretty much, if you run up into them, their first reaction will be to, I mean, no matter what, like, as you saw, that very first time, I ran right in, right? So I was close enough where they shouldn't. It's because when the battle starts, what happens is it recognizes your position at that moment, and the enemy AI is like, oh shit, the enemy's far away from me. Okay, time to shield charge, because that's what they're programmed to do. Any shielded miniature, when you're at a certain distance, and they have a shield, will slam their shield down and charge towards you. And the problem is you can't get in close enough to them to avoid that. You can't get into them close enough and fast enough to actually avoid that. So you just have to, so they'll charge. And there's literally nothing you can do about it. You just have to fucking let them charge. Which means you have to, and so if you ran in trying to get close to them, they're going to charge at you. But since they're, like, I guess what you could do is if instead of charging in between them with both of them on this side, because that's what I'm doing, I'm like charging between them, and then of course what they do is they cross through you. One crosses this way, the other crosses this way, and now they're both far away. I guess what I could do is try to bait them in one direction, run to this direction, and then they'll both charge in this. They'll charge in this way in a group. But regardless, it's still fucking annoying because I still have to chase after them and attack them, and then run back here, because that's where the three enemies appear after the fact. So no matter what, you have to kill them really far away from where the next enemy spawns. And you might think, well, you know, that just happens sometimes. Like, and sure, like in the Inazuma domain, in this talent domain, sure, like enemies. There are the three enemies that, like, there are the two big samurai that spawn near the center, and one range unit that spawns in the center but at the far back. But then there are other range units that spawn radially around the circle. And when you kill them, they have those, some of the range units will spawn at those, you know, out of the way spots. But like, that kind of makes sense, because one, they're ranged. And so the added annoyance of them being at random spawn spots, it doesn't matter as much because you can kill them super quick because they're ranged units and they're usually weaker. So you can just murder them real quick. So it's just like, and you know where they're going to appear, right? And they pretty much relatively stay where they are. Like, sure, if you charge into one direction, they'll inch towards you so they can get in range themselves. But relatively, they'll stay at the same spot. So it's like, you know, once you get a rotation down, once you get a groove going, You're like, okay, I'm gonna go in here, I'm gonna kill these guys, then I'm gonna do like a once around and sweep them up. But so the problem with this is that it's just the two waves are just having those two enemies be the first two is fucking annoying. It's fucking annoying because even if you bait them in the right spot, even if you bait them together, even if you stand still and wait for them to charge towards you and finish their shield dash and then attack them, or run towards the left or right to bait them in that direction together, even though I mean at that point they still won't be together because one they start at different positions, so their shield dash charge will go certain lengths different. So ideally, you have to stay back so they charge to the same distance towards you at the back while missing, so that they'll still be grouped right next to each other for follow-up attacks. But that means you're stuck for the first 5 seconds of the battle, running backwards a bit and waiting for them to finish their shield dash and slam before attacking. And like, who the fuck plays an action game so they can stand around and wait for enemies to do stupid things, right? It's like, great, awesome. Like, yeah, I could just take the bash or whatever. Like, it does very little damage. I could just heal through it, shield through it, whatever, right? But like, it's fucking annoying. Like, I shouldn't have to do this. The fact that like the quote unquote meta way to beat that domain is to stand still and wait for the enemies to charge towards you and then kill them. And then what you have to do is then run to where the enemies initially spawn, because that's where the new enemies spawn. And it's not like they're going to charge towards you. So if you have to then run towards them because they move so fucking slowly that like it's a huge waste of time. So it's like, they're just the shittiest enemies to be together. Like, it'd be one thing if it was like, oh, okay, you beat 2 of them, right? And then 5 shielded miniatures spawn, all of them now charge towards you. That would be fine. Still annoying, but those 5 shielded miniatures, what they would do is just charge towards wherever you were. So you killed those 2 and more of them spawn, fine. Because they're going to charge towards you and you can keep the flow going. Yeah, sure, you're going to have to wait a few seconds for them to get to you, but like, it gives you a few seconds to swap, get some like shit set up. So it's like, it's not the end of the world. Like, but the fact that now, like, whatever you were doing, you have to interrupt everything, then run towards the fucking enemies, and that's where you can actually start doing abilities. Because, like, you can't pre-prep some abilities. Some you can. Like, obviously, I could use Yelan, and her skill would then have me move towards them, so I could use her skill as a movement ability. But then there's also the added problem that what happens if, her skill doesn't last long enough. I'm not able to rope every single one of them. It maybe, like, just traveling that distance takes so long that my skill runs out before I can rope all of them, then like I essentially wasted it to a degree. I'm obviously going to hit some of them, but the fact that you can't get all of them means it's like, yeah, it's kind of a waste. It'd be better for you to get closer before using it, which is like, well, then that kind of defeats the purpose. And again, it's like so little prep work, and of course, there's only so many enemies or so many allies that have like a movement ability that is useful, right? Like that you'd want to do like that. Because even if you had like Zhangling, Kaya, and Sayu, right? Like, you don't want to do Zhangling and Kaya's burst and then Sayu to get close, because you're wasting time on both of their bursts for Sayu's skill to get closer. So it's like, I forget which ones last longer, but let's just say one lasts like 2 seconds longer than the other. So essentially, they both have a 10-second duration. Then you move Sayu to get closer. Like, you're using up like 1 or 2 seconds to get close to them, where they're just not taking damage from either burst because you're just not close enough to them. So it's just like, it's just very poorly designed. Whoever designed it is a complete asshole. Or a moron. One or the other. They either designed it intentionally to be fucking annoying, or they're completely fucking stupid. Like, it's cool that they use the new enemies, and generally I don't dislike the new enemies. Like, having the enemies just be there is fine. I don't like the fact that they back away, but then again, like, I don't like for any action combat game like this, I don't like any enemies that slowly back away. It's just annoying, because like it's one of those games where either it's just really fucking annoying, or it just adds on to one of the many reasons why melee class just blow, and ranged classes are the way to go. Like Diablo 4, for example, is a great example of this, because yeah, there were a lot of enemies that slowly backed away, and melee felt like shit to play in that game. Why? Well, because every fucking melee would have to chase after these stupid fucking enemies that were slowly running away, like slowly backing away from them, whereas ranged fighters could just keep attacking and kill them as they're slowly backing away. Like, them backing away doesn't mean shit. You'll still murder them. So like, it just really leads to the classes being unbalanced. Now, this game is mostly close range. For the most part. Like, most characters are melee. Yeah, sure. Like, there are powerhouses like Ganyu who have really powerful range shots, but generally, like, generally the only kind of range you have are the allies, the characters that have, like, are charge shot builds, right? So, in theory, every bow user could be a charge shot build for the most part. Like, obviously, there are supports, so, like, yeah, like, that, not really for them. So, like, you're not going to use Diona as a charge shot build, but, like, every ranged build, every bow DPS could attack decently from range. But I think they have a pretty good balance for that shit, right? Like, sure, Ganyu does some really powerful shots, and she does some really good damage. But, like, if you're in melee range, you getting off, like, a burst combo, like, so Eula, for instance, like, yeah, Ganyu can get off a few shots, right? And while they're going off, but you still have to constantly move. Your movement's limited. You have to keep going. Whereas Eula, like, when she's in the zone, she'll just be like boom, 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 and then her burst goes off, and she'll do more damage than Ganyu within the same period of time, right? Because, like, Ganyu will get off like 4, 5, or 6 charge shots, but Eula's melee attacks are doing damage, her skill is doing damage, and then her burst going off at the end does damage. Like, it's a huge amount of damage. And Ganyu just doesn't have that. Like, even if I'm doing my burst, Ganyu's burst, does so little actual damage. It's really more for cryo application and providing a zone that increases her cryo damage. So, while, yes, with her burst up and her doing charge shots, her 40,000 or 50,000 damage goes up to like 60,000. Actually, I guess 60,000 times 5. Actually, no, it has to be like 6 charge shots, and then she might be close to the damage Eula does. Because, like, I've seen Eula's damage get up to like 300,000 or something like that. Maybe, from what I remember, maybe more. But then I'm not even counting all of her actual attacks. Like, I'm not counting the damage from her skill. I'm not counting the damage from just initiating her burst, and then all the normal attacks in between. Because she's doing like 10,000 damage per hit in her leading up to that shit. So she's easily doing like 400 to 500,000. So, like, it quite outclasses Ganyu because, yes, your charge shot is good. So it's a low build-up thing. You know, if it's something with low HP, boom, dead. That's it. Whereas Eula will need a few hits. So Eula has a longer wind-up, but she has higher burst damage. Has a bigger burst window damage, like bigger damage within her burst window, whereas Ganyu really just has, her thing is about consistent high damage. So for lots of little low HP enemies, she's really good, whereas Eula is like, yeah, she's good against those too, but, like, she really shines against those big tanky enemies, or she can get off her entire burst and get off as many hits as she can while wailing on it. And that's where she shines. So, yeah, so they've done a pretty good job kind of balancing ranged and melee fighters. And most of the fighters in this game are pretty much melee, right? So, but it's not like ranged absolutely suck. They still have their own uses. They still have their own viable builds. It's not like, nope, melee's the best, you can't beat it. Although I think some of the highest damage is done from melee, just because of how support and reaction and elemental reactions work. Just generally better suit a melee build where you can have a lot more options, a lot more, like, bursts doing damage simultaneously. Like, you know, like Zhangling and Kaya. Like, obviously you have to be in melee range for both of their bursts to hit enemies while you do whatever the hell you're doing with your main character, right? Whereas, you know, I guess you could do it with Ganyu, right? Put their burst up and then have her stand in the center and blasting. But generally, yeah, like, melee will probably be better, but range isn't completely useless. But then there are other games like Diablo 4 where it's like, nah. Pretty much every single range class just plays so much fun. For me, it's much more fun and enjoyable because it feels like you do more damage and things are less annoying. And so that's why, like, the enemies that slowly back away in a game like this, where, like, most of your shit is done through melee, it's like, yeah, that's annoying. You know, when you have those samurai that were like, oh no, I'm gonna slowly back away so I can get, or like, and the treasure hunters that, like, throw bombs or whatever, they'll, like, slowly back away from you so that they can throw their bomb, and like, that's fine because, like, they're ranged anyway. But, like, it's the big fucking samurai. When you get within melee range, they'll, like, leap back. And I get what they're leaping back for. They're leaping back so they can then, like, do their piercing attack. But it's like, dude, fuck off. Like, you're now forcing me to run back towards you to kill you. It's just like, it's just fucking annoying. Or wait for you to do your piercing attack Well, and for me to just iframe out of the way or take damage or whatever if I suck or whatever. It's fucking annoying. Just stop designing enemies where they run away. It's not fun. Like it just interrupts the flow of combat. I've never liked it. No matter what the game is, it just is not fun. I don't like it. Like, it's. I mean, it will always be done. Like it's just one of those things. Like you can't not have that kind of shit because like you make bosses challenging and yeah, like and like all bosses, like even like the Souls-like games, like Margaret, lunges, like it leaps back and then shoots throws his little light daggers at you. So it's like, yeah, I get it, right? Like it's the whole point. It's like, yeah, it's supposed to make it challenging. It's like it makes it hard to get you. It's challenging to get like, oh no, you were close and now they lunged away. So now there's the danger of getting close to them again while avoiding all their attacks and then continuously outputting damage. It's like, I get it. I understand. It's just annoying. Like it just interrupts the flow of combat. I don't like it. Anyway, that's all for now. I thought I might have had more of the event because I wasn't quite sure when the event started. So I thought, and I guess I saw 8 days left. So I'm like, oh shit, did start a week ago? It was like a 14-day thing. But it seems like. Oh, I see. So it's unlocking 2, 3 days. So it's unlocking 2 every 2 days. Oh, okay. So essentially it's 1 a day. So I've just essentially missed 3 days, kind of. It's averaging 1 a day. Yeah, I thought I had more. Actually, wait. Are they unlocking at different... Okay, no, they unlock at the same time. Okay. Yeah, I thought I had more of that. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and call it a day for this. I will probably be back on later to play more Honkai Star Rail. I want to do more of the, I guess the roguelike event that they have. I started it yesterday. I did 2 of the worlds, so there's the, 2, I think it's 2 of 7 worlds. So I still, or no, 2 of 6, I think. There's 3 in the beginner, 2 in the middle, and 1 at the final hard mode. So I've done 1/3 of it, but then I did like the easy 1/3. So I'll probably get around to that as well. Plus playing more Wuthering Waves. Been gone for a while, so I haven't actually done a lot of exploration. So there's still a lot of little random side quests to do. I've done a lot of the zones. Like each zone is around like 40% explored. But it's just getting around. And it's actually definitely more systematic. I didn't realize that you can actually look in the details of Wuthering Waves' map to figure out specifically what you are missing. But I also noticed from that apparently you need those stupid glow bugs. The glow bugs count towards the completion of the zone. And I think that is fucking stupid. Like, that's dumb. Now, I mean, I say it's dumb, but like, Honkai Star Rail technically does it. Like, the glow bugs are essentially the warp trotters. And so in the Honkai Star Rail map, there are the chests that you have to unlock. In Penacony, there's also the trash can guys for a lot of the zones. And then there's a warp trotter. And you have to beat the warp trotter. And the cool thing about beating that is it gives you crystals, which is exactly what the glow bugs do in the open world. Except unlike Honkai Star Rail, with maps are relatively contained, the glow bugs are randomly all over the place, and they'll run away from you. And if you don't get to them in time, they disappear. So it's not like they zip around the map regularly and it's like, oh, okay, you just have all the time in the world to find them and hit them. I've seen them disappear in front of me. If I was trying to shoot at one and I missed, or I saw one, so I'm like, oh, quick, I'm going to swap to a character that can shoot them with a gun, because if you hit them from range, it still counts, and it's so much easier. And usually you can get out of their range, so they don't even notice you. So you have all the time in the world to do it. But I noticed it disappear in front of me, and guess what? It's gone. Now maybe if I teleported away and back, it would come back, or maybe it's it could come back the next day. But it's fucking annoying. That's fucking stupid. Don't do that. They give you crystals. Just have it be that. Don't tie it to the progression of the zone. Don't be like, whoops, you missed one of the glow bugs. These random fucking little glow bugs. Now you have to fucking traipse across the entire fucking map looking for it. And it'd be one thing if it was oh, okay, but don't worry. You just wander the map or glide around, and once you see that little sparkly white thing, go get it, right? Sure, if it was just that would be one thing. But there are some of them that are hidden in objects. Like, there have been times where, like, I pop a box, and there's a glow bug in it. And so it's like, great, awesome. So now you can't even just wander the map hoping to see one and chase after it. So, like, for completionism, if you've done, like, 99% of the map and you're missing one glow bug, I mean, maybe you can. Maybe the one you missed is just on the open world. But some of them might be, like, hidden within objects. So you have to, like, interact with literally every fucking object on the off chance that the glow bug's inside, so you can quickly pop it and get it, which is fucking dumb. Dumb. Like, don't do that. Like, 'cause that, like, the reason why I think it's dumb is because what it's doing is just encouraging people to look up maps. Like, you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't design your game in such a way where it's annoying and where it's so annoying that people look up maps to do things. Like people do that for Genshin, like for chess, to like figure out where all the chests are, and it's like, it's fine if some people want to do that, right? It's fine if people want to use an interactive map to look up where the chests are and then just go straight for them. That's fine. Like, I'm not saying don't have maps, don't allow maps. Like, that's whatever, right? Because the chests are easy enough to see on the overworld, so it's like, you realistically can just wander the world and find the chests. Like, it's not hard, it's not difficult. You can just wander around, and you should be able to see most of them, if not all of them. Now, some of them might be a little harder to find because, like, they're in, like, little crags and stuff. But then the game also has the loot mapper, where it's like, now you can use that to find a new chest. So it's like, cool. Now, while you're wandering the world, you can also be popping this thing, see if there's any chests nearby, right? That's fine too. Like, it's an in-game way to do it. And then, of course, if you want to really be a sweat lord, you just look up the interactive map and just go book it straight for each one. And that's fine. Like, it accommodates every single person's playstyle, because the game has made the rules clear enough. Oh, here are the chests. Here are where they are. Here's, you can wander around if you want. Here's a tool that you can use if you want to find it. And then if you just, don't give a shit about any of that, you can look it up. But for the glow bugs, you don't have any of that shit, right? Like, while they are relatively obvious on the overworld, you can see them. They are striking, but the fact that now some of them can be hidden in things mean that you can't just wander the world anymore. You have to interact with literally everything on the off chance one's there. Now, obviously, once you found them all, like, once you found them in a region, like, you don't have to, like, look in that region anymore, but, like, it's still, like, dumb. Especially coupled with the fact that Wuthering Waves doesn't map all their map. Like, you zoom out on the map and be like, oh, okay, here's the regions, here's the percentages. But, like, there have been times, there are regions between regions that don't have percentages. Like, they have, like, 8 regions or something like that, 8 to 10 regions. But, like, when I was exploring the region where you first start the game, I started going south. And there was treasure chests and all that shit. So I was like, okay, I'll explore these treasure chests, right? And they weren't contributing to the region I just came from and the region that was even further south at all. Like, it just was not going towards any sort of percentage whatsoever. Like, I'm finding chests, and it's a huge region. Like, there's a huge chunk of thing. And so you'd think, oh, okay, well, this is the named region. Like, here's a named region here, here's a named region here. The treasure chests in between those two regions probably contribute to either one or the other, right? Like, maybe there's an invisible line somewhere in the middle of this unnamed region that, like, is the border between the named regions. But, like, no, it's just a huge middle region in between these other named areas, where all the chests I'm finding are not increasing the percentage from the top one, the south one, the east one. Like, they're just doing nothing. So it's like, it's unreliable. That's essentially, like, same thing with the glow bugs, right? It's unreliable. They haven't clearly defined the rules behind their own fucking game. This is not something where you can just find them all on the open world, so you don't have to worry about it, right? Because, like, there's no tracker for them. I don't think your loot mapper will find them. I don't think there's any other tool that can help find them. So you have to do it by sight, but you can't do it by sight because some of them are not within sight. Some of them are hidden, and there's just no way. There's no indicator of where these hidden ones are, or a location where they might be hiding. And the same thing with the exploration, where it's like, yeah, there just are some regions on the map that have a lot of treasure chests, are big regions, have a lot of treasure chests to discover, but don't contribute to any sort of exploration percentage to any of the other named regions. So it's like, I mean, there's still treasure chests and stuff. So it's like, yeah, sure, it's worth in doing it, but it still feels not rewarding because it's like, well, like you get extra bonus rewards for completing the exploration percentages. So doing regions where you're not contributing to the exploration percentages kind of feels like, a waste. Now, it's not really a waste because you still get rewards, and I get that, but it still feels less impactful. It feels like you're wasting your time more than if you were exploring a region that has a named, exploration percentage. And the fact that these rules are inconsistent, the fact that there are some regions that have it and then there are some that don't, is just like, why? Why? Like, how, like, they know where these regions, like, they know where the treasure chests are. Like, how hard is it for you to just redefine and be like, fuck it, let's just change the border for these named regions to a wider area, and include the treasure chests that are in these, at the moment, unnamed regions. Like, just do that. Jesus fucking Christ, it's not fucking rocket science. Like, in Genshin, there are no unnamed regions. Every single zone you go into in Genshin, every single thing you find within that general area, like, they don't clearly define, like, where the borders between areas are, but if you find basically every single treasure chest you find will contribute to the exploration percentage of that of a region. So when you find a treasure chest, that it will increase the percentage of, a region. And if you're close between the border of two regions, it'll increase the percentage of one of them, right? Like, even if you don't know which one it is, it will do it, right? If you have that assurance, because it does. And the fact that the Wuthering Waves doesn't do that, it's just like, it feels lazy. Like, I don't know if I don't know. It's hard to imagine why they did that, right? Like it makes no sense, because it's like, I do get there are rewards for exploration, so I do like see that. Oh well, yeah, but like you get there's these exploration regions, and you get points for doing a certain percentage for each of the regions, but like you could just lower the amount of points you get for each percentage range and add more regions to balance it out. So like, I don't see realistically why they can't have more named regions with their own, their own explicit exploration percentages. I also don't see why they can't just extend the invisible border between regions and include the chests that are now within the new border, within the percentage, within the, criteria of that region. Like, it's just one of these dumb things that makes no sense, because it takes like no effort to do it either way, right? Because like, it's not like they don't know where the chests are. I mean, unless they are really that stupid. Unless they have their own interactive map, and what they did is they were like, okay, here's the border. Now I'm going to manually count it and add it to this thing. It's like, you shouldn't need to do that. And so they're like, oh, I don't want to count a new region. Fuck that. Let's just not. It's like, yeah, it makes no sense. It just feels lazy, and it's another inconsistent. I don't like inconsistencies. You really should be inconsistent within your own rules. Like, you should, if you're gonna make a rule within the game, make it consistent. Because it just breeds, not really resentment, but like, it just breeds discontent. Like, it's not always gonna happen. It's not always gonna be like the worst thing in the world, but it's not a good thing to have either. But regardless, despite these little nitpicks, I do find the game pretty fun. It is pretty enjoyable, I think. But I think exploration does feel a little more annoying. Well, actually, I don't know. Like, I guess Dragon Spine was just kind of as bad, because like, there were a few elevation issues where like, I'm trying to find one of the tasks. I was trying to find one of the tacit fields, and it appears on the map, and a teleport marker appears on the map, but I had no fucking clue how to get to it, because everything around it wouldn't get there. And I had to go like a few hundred feet south, and that's where a cave appears, where then I could go down into the cave and eventually get to that tacit field. But like, there's just no indicator of how to get there, and tracking was just complete shit too. Because like, the tracking wouldn't track you to the cave. It would be like, no, I'm going to track you in a straight line. Like, what's the fastest as the crow flies, as a crow that can also fly through Earth? So it would just take you to the overground part, and say, yeah, you just gotta go straight down. I'm like, no, I don't. I have to go like fuckload away. So yeah. So explorations like that was kind of annoying, but like Dragon Spine also kind of had a lot of elevation, a lot of interesting, like you had a lot of elevations inside the mountain, and I think that was kind of annoying too. But I think it was definitely more simplistic, I think, maybe. And like, I would have found this region anyway if I was exploring normally, but it's like when you're looking for something specific and you're trying to get to this location, the fact that it's just not clear how to get there is kind of annoying. Like, you should be able to track everything properly, and you also shouldn't just put these. You shouldn't, like, because like tacit fields are like where you're going to get your fucking monsters if you're going to farm them not through the overworld. So it's like you should have them just be in obvious locations. Like, great, you put it underground. Why? Is there a reason to have it underground? No. Well, then don't fucking put it there. Just put it above ground. Put it somewhere obvious, because this is where we're supposed to farm. Don't make it fucking annoying. And I get it, right? They put a teleporter right next to it. It's like, oh, okay. Once you've unlocked the teleport, it's easy to get to. So it's not that hard. But like it still just makes it annoying when first starting out. It's just, yeah, it's a weird design decision. It's just like it's one of many kind of weird design decisions where they're just like, yeah, we'll put these things you absolutely 100% need, but we're gonna put them at out of the way locations, which just makes which exacerbates the issue even more when you're trying to first starting the game and you need these locations, but you have no clue where to go to get them, and there's just so much to explore. It's just overwhelming. Like, the things you really need should be in obvious spots. So that essentially you should be able to explore when you want to, and if you just want to get your shit done and do your farming or whatever, there shouldn't be any qualms for that. Like, it should be easy to get to every location, even if you don't have a teleport spot next. Like you shouldn't require a teleport spot near every single location to make it easy to get to, right? In the sense, like, yes, you should always have one next to it, sure, but it shouldn't be a requirement to have it, right? Like, I couldn't get to that tacit field because I didn't have the teleport spot, and I had to explore for like 30 fucking minutes. And that was not even the wasted time. I was trying to figure out where the fuck to go, because nowhere nearby was relatively close, and I didn't realize I had to go so far away to get into a cave to get to where I needed to go. I'm like, oh, well, that's fucking annoying. So, and then once I got the teleport spot, but it's like, yeah, well, like, you shouldn't, they should all be in, easy to get to spots. They should all have teleporters next to them to make it easier. But it should also be, if you don't have that teleport unlocked, it should be relatively easy to get to. That if you just want to be like, fuck it, I just need it. Like you've just started playing the game and you want to do this one thing, it should be easy just to like run straight towards it with no qualms whatsoever. Like, it should be as easy as possible to get to, even for the first time. Don't make intricate exploration a requirement just to get to a farming location. Like, let the exploration stand on its own and have it be its own little fun thing, not a requirement to actually do something you think is required to play a game. But anyway, that's enough ranting. Thank you all for watching. I will see you all next time.